What's up, gamers? DreamcastGuy here, talking today about Battle Royale games, and whether or not I think that some of them might be completely doomed by Call of Duty's new Blackout mode. So let's rewind a tiny bit. If you've been subscribed over the course of the last year, I'm sure you've seen me completely fall in love with the idea of the Battle Royale genre. Ever since PUBG first came out and really exploded this new idea of ultra-serious shooters onto the scene, I fell in love with it, because it reminds me so much of like the shooters I grew up with. Doom. Things where you really just got to jump into a match, get some frags, and eventually get slayed yourself. So these games were really fun to me because it was all about just pure skill. Landing, finding random guns, and trying to scavenge together with your team to be the last people standing. But Blackout, the new mode that's in Call of Duty, I feel like it really shakes things up by providing something that doesn't exist in the genre thus far, which, quite frankly, is hundreds of millions of dollars of development cost. Let's begin by really trying to dig into what I think the Blackout mode does well, and why I think that it's going to utterly murder things like PUBG, and, well, to a lesser extent, Fortnite. So, Blackout is simply a single mode in Black Ops 4, but one that I am already totally addicted to. During the open beta, I played 55 hours of it, and I will say that it has one giant benefit over its rivals, which is billions of dollars of Activision money. There are hundreds of different guns, places to hide, and the map itself is very well refined. Being able to freaking fly around in a helicopter and fire rocket launchers, or get a grapple hook and suction cup yourself up onto a ceiling and try and snipe people as they storm your base. Those moments are so incredible, and they happen non-stop. Whereas in something like PUBG, despite their best efforts, they can't really seem to mimic that magic. So just in the last couple weeks, I've gone back and I've really started to play a bunch of PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds on the Xbox One, because this is where I enjoyed playing it the most, and people kept telling me, DreamcastGuy, I promise they've improved it, they've made patches, they made an entirely new area to explore. So I decided to go into it with an open mind, and I can say that the game is dramatically better than it was. They managed to make it, well, a lot better in general. I think that the improvements are very noticeable, but there's some stuff in it, like the fact that there's so much lag, and some of these areas, they're still just so poorly designed. Despite the fact that Bluehole, the developers of this game, put so much of their money into it, it never still feels like PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds can keep up with the competition. Even some really small, mostly unknown games like Real Royale, which is basically like a fantasy version of Fortnite, even that manages to feel a lot more polished, which is saying something because I think that game is really rough. But despite the fact that PUBG is trying so hard to keep up, I think that it's going to be instantly and utterly demolished by Blackout. I honestly think that by this time next month, there's going to be less than 100,000 people on the planet still playing PUBG. But what about things like Fortnite? Now, Fortnite obviously has a giant advantage, which is that it's technically free. Yes, it's filled with millions of dollars of microtransactions, but you can actually install it and play it at zero cost, whereas Call of Duty Black Ops, obviously that's going to be minimum a $60 charge just to enjoy its multiplayer modes. I actually do believe that there is going to be a sizable chunk, maybe a couple million players, who end up straight up quitting Fortnite to move over to Blackout, but it's for a very specific reason, which is that, from what it appears, Blackout is going to be purely just about the raw action, about getting to have cool firefights, team up with your buddies, and really get into the nitty-gritty shooting fun. Whereas Fortnite, more and more, is definitely trying to push microtransactions to such a heavy degree, which is why just today I was actually scrolling through the PlayStation Store and I noticed that some of the top things, the things that are literally being bought more than anything else on the PlayStation Marketplace, is V-Bucks. The dollars and cents that you were spending inside the Fortnite store to get more items. While it's true that these don't provide an actual benefit, there is now this huge social system about having the coolest emotes and best costumes and trying to match what the streamers are wearing. I do think that there is an audience of people who are currently playing Fortnite every single day who are starting to get fatigued of that. There is only one map and one really cool sort of map to play on for Fortnite, and I think that's kind of burning some people out, but more than that is the fact that everybody is constantly so obsessed with talking about emotes and getting that next sale and seeing what's on the marketplace that some people, like myself, are just kind of missing the rawness at the beginning. So obviously I'm somebody who actually played Fortnite from the day it came out, and I did enjoy when it was just the original Battle Royale mode and the original Save the World mode, because they definitely seem to have a charm, a hunger, a sense that they wanted to do something that was not just really interesting, but still, at its heart, really, really, really basic and cool. And as weird as it is, I think that Blackout kind of replicates that. And honestly, it's so insane that in 2018, I'm saying that a freaking Call of Duty game has charm, but I think that Blackout manages to copy that. And it does feel a little bit like copying. I'm never going to actually say that I believe that Blackout is original. I think that it's taking a lot of pieces of classic Call of Duties and modes that are already established and just gluing them together. But I'm still saying that's not necessarily a bad thing. For what it is, I'm very, very intrigued. I mean, let's just kind of spell stuff out here and say that obviously part of the reason that Call of Duty became as big as they are is that they have some of the fastest, sharpest aiming of any games ever. You are constantly going to be power sliding, running up walls, doing everything you can to score that next kill. So combining that style of crazy physics and nasty headshots into a Battle Royale game is necessarily going to draw over a huge part of the audience. I think what this really comes down to at its bare bones roots is basically a matter of how Activision plans on handling this, because obviously this game is going to sell 80 trillion copies, but more importantly than that, I'm curious who is going to be jumping over from it. Who is going to be trying to climb on board the Blackout train from games like H1Z1. And really, I think that the main thing, the root of all this, is really going to come down to how they monetize it. Because I think that there are people who are coming over who are probably very, very annoyed about the fact that every other freaking Battle Royale game is now flooded with microtransactions. I mean, I seriously can't even play something like PUBG unless I'm willing to constantly shell out money. I mean, that game, even though it costs an initial price, still constantly pesters you to buy a nice frilly skirt or get a cool trench coat or a vampire mask. And that's so draining. It's so annoying to constantly have a game perpetually pester you for more price tags, more money, more times to get out your credit card. At this point, I don't even like turning on Fortnite Battle Royale, because even though I love the matches themselves, every time I boot it up, I'm going to have multiple forced notifications that spring out of the screen and tell me about an upcoming sale and cool emotes and, hey bro, how about this new weed skin for your gun? Blah, blah, blah. That's something that really kind of aggravates me. And so really, I think that if they just manage to keep this very, very basic and very, very streamlined, Fortnite is really going to start losing players to paid experiences. Stuff like Blackout may be what the Battle Royale fanbase has truly been craving. But it's still a little bit hard to say. Right now, from the 50 hours I've played of it, it's probably some of my favorite Battle Royale ever. But we're about to see how the final game is on Friday, and I will be reviewing it. So thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, share with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. But do me the biggest favor of all and keep dreaming. My AC is still broken, so I'm sorry that I'm absolutely sweating my face off. This spotlight's melting me, but I wanted to talk about Battle Royale. You know what? I'm going to play a little bit more PUBG because it's not the best, but it'll help me not be so hungry for Blackout yet. Oh, hi. I'm just working on the next video. If you want to see what it is, go ahead and click this button and you can subscribe. Also, if you click these video links, you can see my latest review and my latest top 10. Now I'm just going to sit here for a minute and wait for you to subscribe. Oh, I guess I could put on these giant glasses. I literally found these on a roller coaster.